So I just watched a video by Lester Lessig. It was a TED Talk. And he was talking about the influence, the inappropriate, subtle, somewhat ignored and hidden influence that funders have on American politics, on the American government. And really, it's pretty common throughout the Western world. To whatever degree, every country has that issue. And he brought it back to the original intention of the founders and of the republic being controlled by the people alone, and how because you need a certain amount of funding, and the funding comes from such a small fraction of the people and interests in the country, that it creates a corruption. It creates corruption. And by the time you have candidates getting to an election, it's as if they've been vetted by the funders. The funders have had their way with the candidates before they get into an election. So the people still have the ultimate power in the election, but only after the funders have their way with the candidates. And so he talks about the consequences, and he talks about the problems that this influence has, and he ponders how we could start to resolve or correct this inappropriate situation. One thing that he does is he calls himself a Democrat or a liberal. And that's one of the things that, without really realizing it, is actually contributing to the problem. When we identify ourselves as being right or left or conservative or liberal, it has the effect of cementing the duality, the polarity. It puts things into that dualistic perspective. It projects duality. And so it perpetuates the back and forth, push and shove competition. What I want to do with this presentation, with this lecture, is to bring in the elements of the greater shift that humanity is in. Collectively and individually, we are resolving this duality. The duality we see in politics is a macrocosm of the duality that we individually have with ourselves, with others, with our worldview. We're very dualistic. It's the paradigm that we have been in and that we are stepping out of. The paradigm we've been in has been very linear, rational. There's been a lot of greed, manipulation, disempowerment. It's been a dominance of male energy, yang, right. It's the logical, rational. When that dominates and the other is suppressed, the female, the creative, intuitive, what happens is it disempowers both. So individually, we're walking around with that. And collectively, also, of course, we're doing the same thing. Very dualistic, very rational, very logical, and there's no resolution in that. It's a constant cycle of drama and conflict. Humanity is in the process, the very early stages of actively resolving that duality. So individually, the right and the left, the male and the female aspects of you are coming into balance. Now, it's happening one way or another, but if you do it consciously, it happens more quickly, and it happens with greater ease and less struggle. Because you know what's going on, you work with it. You know where you're going, so you can see things from a different perspective. You have a little more light on your path. Now, if you're not conscious and you're not actively engaging with this shift, with this resolution, you will tend to hold on to your beliefs and your opinions, your programming, your patterns, your assumptions, all of which you've adopted and that you've downloaded from parents, society, other generations, your culture, things like that. But it's all been in the old paradigm. And we're walking around with it. And it's habit. You know, it's unconscious beliefs and assumptions. It's unconsciousness. It's what's driving our decision making and our perspective. And as we resolve the duality, we become a lot more creative. We become a lot more conceptual. We're not throwing away the rational, logical aspects of our being. We're empowering them. We're evolving them. We're balancing them. We're tempering them with our creative, intuitive side. We all know what intuition is. We all have a sense of intuition. How much we actually pay attention to it is another story. When you have the dominant, rational, logical aspect of you, you're not really available to hear your intuition. And you either dismiss it or you ignore it altogether. Your intuition has a much bigger view. It sees from a much higher level. It sees big picture. As opposed to your rational, linear aspect of you, which is what's driving you, the rational mind. It is a very small, immediate view. It sees kind of just what's in front of you and what it already knows or what it already thinks it knows. And what it ends up doing is it ends up recreating the experiences that it's already had over and over, taking your past, projecting it into your future. It creates a box. You get boxed in by your beliefs, your opinions, your perspective. See, your beliefs are your limitations.